We're about 2 hours away from kickoff, and Ole Miss honestly has the greatest opportunity that any of their fans under the age of 50 have seen. Let's talk about it coming up next.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We bring in Mike Huseman from After Dark Sports Network coming up next in just a little bit, and we'll talk about this game and what it looks like and what it means, and we'll see exactly how that goes. Thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. Check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So, Mike, one thing that is really interesting, this is the game of the day. This is the most important game of the day. Ole Miss against the Georgia Bulldogs. Listen, all of the validation that you can think of in this game, if Ole Miss went to Athens and won this game, because make no mistake, if Georgia plays their A game and Ole Miss plays their A game, I don't know that Ole Miss can win the game. So if you can go to Athens and get the win with the LSU win, which at the moment doesn't look particularly good, but if you can get this win, it kind of sets your resume completely up.
Yeah, and more than setting the resume up, it takes your resume out of the playoff committee's hands, I think, because you win today, you can still lose 2 games and you're in the playoffs. I don't even know that they lose that many if they win today, but it's pretty much you win today and all you got to do is hit it down the fairway the rest of the way to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and you look at it, Oklahoma does not look good at South Carolina. There's something that they're not the Oklahoma that we thought they were a couple of weeks ago. Georgia's not
injured material. They're not going to be.
Yeah, and Georgia is not the Georgia that we thought before the season going into it. So it will be interesting to see. And listen, I watched Game Day this morning. They had interviews with Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin. Both coaches seemed extremely relaxed, extremely confident, almost jovial, looking forward to this game. And it's just another reminder that this is a potential coin flip game.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think that's a good way to put it. And with that attitude with the coaches, it also shows me it's 2 guys that are not going to be shocked by the moment they're in. They're both used to these big games. You get that in this conference. Kirby's played in national title games. Kiffin has been an assistant coach and head coach in a lot of massive games. So it's nothing that they haven't seen before. And hopefully, for the sake of fans watching who aren't, diehards of either team, you're going to get that situation where both teams take on that persona of their head coach and both teams are relaxed. They play relative mistake-free football, and we don't see a sloppy game. Nobody wants to see that in what up to this point is the conference's game of the year.
Yeah, and one of the problems that Lane Kiffin used to have, sorry about my voice, everybody, basically whenever Lane Kiffin first got to Ole Miss, games like this would get him. It would get too high for them. It was the get your popcorn ready game against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And this will be a real big test because Ole Miss beat Georgia, so you don't have the fixation of beating Georgia, but this is still the biggest game of the week. It is still the biggest game for Ole Miss potentially about what it could mean in 50 or so years. Lane Kiffin's not acting like it is too much, but he's acting like, hey, let's go do this again. This is a big thing. Maybe he's just, let's enjoy the moment of what's going on, but this isn't like what Alabama Nick Saban was in 2021.
And I think part of that might be both his maturation and the new standard for the team that he's brought them to, that we expect to be in these games. We don't need to make a big show of it. We don't need to put on the bells and whistles and hype it up, because this is the new standard here. This is where we expect to be at.
You know, the funny thing about that is after the Washington State game, you saw like a tale of two different coaching staffs in that game. And you saw after Georgia beat Auburn, there was Kirby Smart dancing on the medical table, doing all sorts of weird stuff. And then you had Lane Kiffin, of all people, doing the Nick Saban and just lighting into his team after a win. Honestly, I felt better about this game today after seeing that than before.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that a bit on Thursday. I liked seeing that out of Kiffin, but I also liked the other side that I saw out of Kirby. And my hypothesis for that is he's very good at reading the room and taking the temperature of his team. Maybe he saw a team in that moment that they needed me to celebrate with them and not get on their ass about this. And I trust him to know what his team needs in that moment. Maybe he saw this as, this is a rivalry. And Corey said that's a team he hates. Kirby wants to get Auburn more than anybody else. Maybe he saw it as, all right, we got this. This is big. Let's celebrate. Then tomorrow we'll work on Ole Miss.
All right, everybody that's watching the stream, in the third segment of this show, in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to take your comments. Please put where you're commenting from. We want to give that a shout out as well. So if you're going to do that, please do that for us. Listen, this is just such an interesting game. On X last night, all of a sudden you started seeing a whole bunch of Austin Simmons is going to play posts. And the Ole Miss fan bases were talking about that. And everybody knows the rise that Trinidad Chambliss has had so far this season. Do you think that is just bluster? Do you think that is just like weirdness? Or is it something just for Kirby's benefit?
It's tough for me to say exactly what it is, because it's such a rare situation where typically, if you see a guy who misses games for injury, he gets his job back when he is healthy. Typically, you don't lose your job just for getting hurt, but we usually don't see a transition as seamless as this in a team that then vaults into the top five, which is how good Chambliss is playing, where he's done nothing to lose his job, but Simmons didn't do anything other than get hurt to lose his job either. So you have those two differing viewpoints, and I trust Lane Kiffin to make the right decision more than I would most people. For me, and I would have said at the beginning of the scenario, if you'd have asked me, does Simmons get his job back when he becomes healthy? I would have said yes. I think I've changed my thinking there, in that it's not necessarily just a Chambliss versus Simmons. It's how good everybody else is playing with Chambliss. You risk everybody else regressing if you make that move.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing. Like, if Trinidad Chambliss wins the game against Georgia today, he's going to be in the top two for the Heisman Trophy this season. So it's very weird. Anyway, when we come back, we'll continue talking to Mike about this game and maybe some of the other games that are on right now. Oklahoma's winning 7-0. Vandy's up 17-13 on LSU in the first half. So we'll talk about that as well. So stick around. All right, it's almost the weekend, or it is the weekend. It's time to look back on last week and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. You can, just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streak, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it all down. For Ole Miss, Cam Franklin delivered in a big way. He was a menace behind the lines, registering his first sack of his career. And if you've been watching week after week, his performance isn't a fluke. He's on a streak. And just like Cam Franklin delivered for the Rebels, DoorDash is delivering your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You can save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season long, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period runs through November 18th. And also, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in all of the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service has always been able to keep your blind side covered. You need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tool, by the way, and 3D schematics can help save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother as well. So join that free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support lines. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5. That's all one word, SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Do us a favor and like and subscribe and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast, and whichever audio podcast you're listening to, give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps keep all of this free. Also, Locked On is getting ready to change the game yet again, all in the name of having fun following your team, which we are all about. It's all coming in December, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. All right, so Mike, one thing that's interesting that you notice, Oklahoma, they don't look right. They just don't.
No.
Vandy offensively is kind of working LSU's defense right now. I never thought I'd see a football game where LSU's defense was the weak link, but today it absolutely is. And one thing that I am curious about, if Ole Miss can get the win, Oklahoma just scored another touchdown, by the way, 17 or 14-0.
14, yeah.
And if you have a situation to where Ole Miss beats Georgia, they have Oklahoma, which doesn't look like any type of a world beater, but Ole Miss can lose that game, obviously. But yeah, it's one of those things. This game is getting more meaning for Ole Miss against Georgia by the minute as far as the opportunity and what it could mean with a win.
Yeah, I likened it when I was talking to one of my other buddies this week. They're in a similar situation to where Indiana was last week against Oregon, in that you look at the remaining schedule and where you're at. If you get a win, you can almost punch your ticket to the playoffs. Now, I don't want to get ahead of schedule or get, too many people's hopes up, but your percentage of being a playoff team skyrockets if you get a win in this game.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's just weird. And Ole Miss fans are listening to this saying, shut up, Steve, and all of that stuff. And I get all of that. But it's just weird that Ole Miss is in a place right now that makes people uncomfortable to the fact of where they could end up. Right about this time, we should be talking, hey, 2 more wins and we get bowl eligibility. Or, are we going to the Music City Bowl this year? Well, this Ole Miss team with a win over Georgia, all of a sudden you start talking, hey, they're a favorite for Atlanta. They're a favorite for the bye in the playoff. And where is the L? Because you can take 2 at that point. You have 2 L's. If you beat Georgia, you can take 2 L's, and that's Oklahoma, South Carolina, Florida, and Mississippi State. 2 of those you can lose. I don't think you can lose to the Citadel, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Plugging myself, preseason, I did pick Ole Miss as a playoff team, so I'm feeling good about that. But we're looking right now, with the Ole Miss win today, there's a very good chance we see an Ole Miss versus A&M game in Atlanta. It's just the way the books are looking. There's a good chance. Bama's still in it, certainly. But based on the schedules, there's a good shot we get Ole Miss and Texas A&M there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, LSU and Bama, that's going to be a weird game because there is talent on LSU's defense, and who knows if Bama just lays an egg in Tuscaloosa on that one. But, yeah, you're right. Texas A&M winning against Arkansas, which I think today's game is going to be tricky for Texas A&M, honestly. I think with Bobby Petrino, he's kind of the leader in the clubhouse right now to be hired as the Arkansas head coach next year. That's just the guy that the boosters up there on the hill, they're wanting. So if Bobby Petrino just gets one big win this year, they can probably set it up for, hey, he's going to be the guy. And Texas A&M, they haven't played, other than that Notre Dame game that they gave up 40 points in.
Yeah.
They haven't played on the road.
Yeah. In 3 weeks, we have a big game where A&M goes to Mizzou. That game could have conference title implications. Mizzou, even though they lost last week, that's still a good team. And A&M, the schedule looks all right for them. Like that game will be a big one in terms of for the conference title, who makes it there. But also we could learn a lot about both of those teams in that game.
All right. When we come back, we are going to take your comments, your questions with Mike Huseman with After Dark Network and all of that stuff. Be sure when you comment to please put where you're commenting from, and we'll talk about it and have a good time as we're trying to kill a little bit of time before Ole Miss kicks off against the Georgia Bulldogs. But Mike Huseman from the After Dark Network on hand, so stick around as that goes. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Heck, maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly right where Rougiette's Go Long comes in. It just isn't another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, so you can, take care of business. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Head to Rougiette, RUGIET.com, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Make sure you use our code so they know you got sent by us. Listen, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many different ways to play. I've built parlays. I've tried player props. I even followed live lines during games. It makes watching football just a little bit more exciting when you have a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, Mike. So let's go into the comments section and see what's on everybody's mind right now. I'm excited to where this game goes and where people are in the fan base. James York just says, let's go. And Michael Nail drops an HYDR. So let's see. James York also says, game day. They threw us under the bus. Let's prove them wrong. Actually, James, I will say this, and there's probably something scientifically about this, but when everybody picks the other team, that's actually a good thing more than a bad thing. They can get weird. It can get weird if that happens. Mike?
Yeah, I think so. And it's one of those you want, especially when it's guys with the same company, you wonder if they're all feeding into the same ecosystem. They're getting the same stats, talking to the same people, seeing the same numbers, and your circle's not expanded outside of the one-sided info you're getting.
Yes. JC with a super chat with what happened to the everydayer subscription to the channel. Go Rebs, beat the Dogs. JC, there's something coming in December. You're going to hear me basically tease it for the better part of 6 weeks. I want to make sure that people aren't getting charged for that because what's coming is so much more stuff for the same amount of price. And even having another tier above that for people that want to do it. So I wanted to give everybody a break for $5 and shut that off so that we can subscribe in December and set it up. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. I told everybody that at my downtime during my surgery, I was going to cook up how to make this better. This is how. And thank you for the super chat, but it's going to get better. And the $4.99 for the Everydayer and the Everydayers Club, you're just basically going to subscribe in a different place and you're going to get more stuff, if that makes sense. So just stay tuned about that, and I will go over that as well. Gary Grizzard says, can we beat Georgia? Yes, can. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. They can beat Georgia. There's not a world where they can't beat Georgia. It's not a situation where you're going into Alabama in 2019 or 2020. That's not what we're looking at right now. But what you have is an extremely hard place to play. It is going to be hard to win. They have probably the only team on the schedule where they have more talent on their roster than you do. So it is going to be difficult to get a win in that situation. What do you think, Mike?
I think that's well said. Either team could win this game. There's zero doubt in my mind about that. If I like Ole Miss's odds in this one, and I have the whole time. I've said for a while, any team that can throw the ball well is going to give Georgia problems. So I think Wright and Stribling are two guys I'm very curious to see if they can have big games today, because I think based on the matchups, that could happen for them. But Georgia's run D is very good. If they can force Ole Miss's QBs into mistakes, a couple of them, and if Georgia can stay on track on offense, they're going to be in a place to potentially win this game, even though I like Ole Miss's chances.
Yeah, if you look at gamesonpaper.com, it's called gamesonpaper.com, and basically they do advanced stats and Ole Miss offense versus Georgia defense, Georgia's offense versus Ole Miss defense, and they put it all on a piece of paper. And you look at it and you're like, Ole Miss is better set up than I thought they were, if that makes sense. Ole Miss actually has the advantage on that. So Georgia is getting the bump from the gamblers. I think it's 6.5 or something right now.
Yeah.
And also the fact that it's in Sanford Stadium where they don't lose periodically. Ole Miss has a pretty good matchup in this game if you just look at it statistically. Now, I will say this. This is the simplest game on Ole Miss's schedule, period. If Georgia can run the football, Ole Miss is going to lose. If Ole Miss can stop the run, Ole Miss is going to win. It is simple as that. It doesn't matter of all this other stuff. It comes down to whether or not Georgia can drain clock by doing death marches, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, 1st and 10, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. If they get into a situation where they're able to do that, it's going to be problematic.
And the flip side of that for me is something else that the fans should look at. Ole Miss is a very good third down offense. Georgia's third down defense is not good, right? 86th in the country right now. If Ole Miss can stay on track 1st and 2nd downs, create the manageable third downs, and then convert those third downs and have long drives, that's going to bode very well for them in the end of the game.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm worried about, we have a comment here from whatever that is. It says Island Time. And listen, this game will have a higher attendance than every game at Ferris State last season for Trinidad Chambliss. More people are going to watch this game than saw him all of last season. When you look at Trinidad Chambliss, there's the chance. I don't think it's going to happen. But a freak out factor playing in front of that many people and that much noise and everything going on around you with that level of athlete, it could be problematic. It could cause mistakes early. And remember, if you give Georgia short fields, they're good on the special teams. They're probably a wash with Ole Miss in special teams. But when you look at what can happen, you need Trinidad Chambliss to stay calm in this environment. And that's going to be a big key, especially in the first quarter. If Ole Miss can jump on them and take a crowd a little bit out of the game, I think Ole Miss has a chance to roll in this game. But if the crowd stays in it, if it's tight throughout, it will be insanely difficult to play this game.
Yeah, that caveat is one thing that the more I looked into it, it was concerning for me, because typically when you're trying to, get a greenhorn in, who's not used to this environment, you typically would do it by running the ball, take it out of his hands for a little bit, let him get acclimated. That's going to be tough, though, because Georgia's run D is so good. You may have to have him throwing the ball early, which is going to increase the chance that those turnovers, those big hits, or that freak out happens. Hopefully not, but you never know.
Yeah, the first 2 plays of the game, honestly, and I'm not even kidding about this. First play of the game, quarterback power, so he gets hit. The second play is some sort of an easy pass where he sees the ball caught by the receiver, and then you turn him loose. But I think that should be the first 2 plays of the game just to get him acclimated.
And I like that you said the QB power. The run game from the QB should be straight ahead, not pull and play and see what happens. I think you'd be more direct with it early on.
Yeah, Gary Patterson was on my show earlier this week, and he said when you're playing against these Nick Saban style defenses, it needs to be direct run. There's no like pin and pull type stuff that can work. So it has to be direct. And so that's the reason I was like, quarterback power, snap the ball, go, almost like a wildcat play with his athleticism. Mark Walsh says from St. Louis, Missouri, huge game. Hope we play loose and free. We need to limit turnovers. Hope our linebackers show up. Lacey and Chambliss are the key. Can't wait. What do you think the number is for Kewan Lacey that he needs to hit rushing in this game? Because Georgia hasn't allowed a 100-yard rusher all season, but you need a running game that's at least effective and something that keeps them probably 60 or 70 yards. If you can get that, I don't care if it's on 20 carries, but I think 60 or 70 yards would be important. That would be a benchmark for Kewan Lacey.
Yeah, the number that popped in my head was if you hit 85, I think your chances of winning the game are about 85%. So I think that's 65. You take that. If you would say right now, would you be comfortable with this? Absolutely.
As a team, what do you think they should rush for?
I think if you crack the 100-yard mark, you're good, because you also got to take into account the sacks are coming off of that yards, and there'll be a few of them. So I would say 100, 105. Yeah.
Alan Hawkins from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Lane Kiffin is mature, peaceful, and resourceful. We are ready. Didn't know we would take the lead, and we had the lead in conference and turnovers. That stat will be key. And problem is they're not turning the other team over that often. Now they got a couple. They got a big one against Arkansas and a big one against LSU, but they're not turning people over right now. Real quick, James York says, we need this win. Play smart, no dumb mistakes, take the points when we can, never give them a short field and limit their effectiveness, and we have a very winnable game. A lot of people are crazy about the phrase gettable, because Georgia is gettable. That doesn't mean you're going to win. That just means you can win. And it does require that you play a clean game. You can't do like you did against LSU and had 14 penalties and win this football game, in my opinion. All right, David Holly from Madison, Mississippi. Louisville showed us on the road the blueprint: screens, bubbles, slants, punt when you have to, stop their run, and make their quarterback beat us. Yes. You in this world, you want Gunnar Stockton to be the person that beats you. Yes. If that happens. If you get beat, you want Gunnar Stockton to handle that. If you can get past that, you'll be all right. Moments of Truth podcast, Jackson from Jacksonville, Florida. If we beat Georgia, where do you think we should be ranked? I'm personally thinking number 2, no lower, only team in the top 10 with 2 wins over the top 10 opponents. If Ole Miss beats Georgia, they'll be number 3.
I think so. I think you're behind Ohio State and Indiana.
Yeah. Because Indiana had, like you said, this game last weekend, essentially. Let's see. Give me an Ole Miss versus Alabama championship game from one Rusty Boy. And Bradley Voiles from Corinth, Mississippi. Can we trust our defense to stop the run and get off the field on third down? If so, we win the game. They've only given up 120 yards a game the last 3 games. And they've had plays where they stopped the other team 0 or negative yards like 24% of the time. They showed that on game day. Now, this is a different animal. Georgia can run the football. They are going to physically come downhill on you. What Ole Miss can't do Georgia's going to get theirs in the running game. They need to limit the explosive plays. If it becomes arduous, you have a chance that they mess up. You just can't give up explosive plays. Let's see.
Yeah, and Ole Miss getting those big plays, I think, is the scenario where they run away with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Yawn from Laurel, Mississippi. If Trinidad has more than 100 yards rushing, Ole Miss wins. Yeah, I would say that.
That's unlikely, but I like his optimism.
I like that. But yeah, if Trinidad has 100 yards rushing, they're going to win the game. And Jeff Ferguson from Pontotoc, Mississippi. Ole Miss will win this because if they can establish a running game so they can pass over the middle of the field. Yeah, they need Georgia just to respect the running game.
Yeah.
All right, we are out of time. We have Ole Miss versus Georgia at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central on ABC. The game of the weekend in college football. Give me a prediction, Mike. What do you think is going to happen?
I've been on the Rebels all week, and I'm saying that as a unbiased person. If I was picking right now, I would say something 27-28 to 20. I think we're looking at a score game. Yeah.
All right. We'll see exactly what that looks like. Thank you for stopping by, Mike, and we will talk to you later, buddy.
Take it easy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's totally free. Your support means the world to us. And another big moment for Locked On college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation, a longtime two-time AP Coach of the Year. Gary Patterson and former college star Jesse Holley, as well as Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word meaning bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.